The 1990s was the decade everyone thought muscle had died. Regulations had won. Safety crusaders had neutered the beasts. But in secret workshops and engineering departments across Detroit, a rebellion was brewing. The muscle car was about to return with a vengeance, meaner and faster than ever before. Today, we're counting down 12 most dangerous muscle cars out of the 1990s. Machines that proved American horsepower wasn't just alive, it was angrier than ever. These weren't your father's muscle cars. These were weapons that combined old-school brutality with modern technology, creating combinations that could thrill you one moment and terrify you the next. Number 12, 1996, Chevrolet Impala SS. The full-size sedan was supposed to be dead, killed off by SUVs and minivans. Then Chevrolet dropped the Impala SS like a bomb, proving that four doors didn't mean boring. The 1996 Impala SS arrived dressed in murdered-out black, sitting low on 17-inch wheels, looking like an unmarked police car with attitude. Under that long hood lived the LT1, a 5.7-liter V8 from the Corvette. 260 horsepower and 330 pound-feet of torque, pushed over 4,000 pounds with authority. 0 to 60 happened in 6.5 seconds, and the quarter-mile disappeared in the low 15-second range. The four-speed automatic shifted aggressively, feeding power to a limited slip differential that could light up both rear tires on command. But the real danger wasn't just speed, it was anonymity. In black, with minimal badging, it looked innocent until the light turned green. The interior featured bucket seats, console shifter, and white glowing gauges. The steering wheel was thick and leather-wrapped, purposeful in ways that separated this from ordinary caprices. Chevrolet built about 41,000 across 3 years, making them special but not rare. Today, clean examples command serious money. This was the car that proved muscle could wear a suit, that four doors could deliver thrills. The Impala SS was dangerous because it looked responsible until it humiliated you. Number 11, 1991, GMC Cyclone. Sometimes the most dangerous machines make no sense on paper. GMC took a compact pickup, strapped on a turbocharger, added all-wheel drive, and created something that embarrassed Corvettes. The 1991 Cyclone shouldn't have existed, but that's exactly why it became legendary. The 4.3-liter turbocharged V6 generated 280 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. The all-wheel drive system put power down without drama. 0 to 60 happened in 4.3 seconds. 4.3 seconds in 1991 when Corvettes needed over 5. The quarter mile fell in the low 13-second range. GMC built 2,998, all black with red accents. The truck sat low on special suspension. Inside, leather seats and full gauges reminded you this wasn't a work truck. The exhaust was subdued, making surprises sweeter. The Cyclone proved muscle didn't require big displacement, that turbocharging and all-wheel drive could deliver brutality. Traditional approaches couldn't match. Today, clean examples are serious collectibles. Number 10, 1996 Pontiac Firebird Formula. While the Trans Am got attention with graphics, the Formula was the subtle killer. The 1996 Pontiac Firebird Formula delivered nearly identical performance in a cleaner package. This was Pontiac understanding that sometimes the most dangerous predator doesn't advertise. The LT1 V8 produced 305 horsepower and 335 pound-feet of torque. The 6-speed manual had short throws and mechanical precision. 0 to 60 arrived in just over 5 seconds, quarter mile in mid-13 at over 100 miles per hour. The Formula's aerodynamic nose and functional hood scoops channeled air and reduced lift at speed. Inside, the digital dash was pure late 90s General Motors, displaying speed and RPM with pixelated graphics that somehow still looked cool. The seats were deeply bolstered, holding you firmly through aggressive cornering. The leather-wrapped steering wheel provided excellent feedback, communicating road texture and grip levels directly to your palms. The shifter for the manual transmission had a satisfying mechanical feel, each gear change accompanied by a solid snick as the synchronizers engaged. Pontiac offered the Formula in colors like bright purple metallic and polo green metallic, but the smartest buyers chose subdued shades like white, silver, or black. Without the Trans Am's cartoon graphics and aggressive body kit, the Formula looked almost innocent, like a sporty commuter car that someone took care of. Then you'd hear the exhaust note, a deep rumble at idle that rose to a mechanical scream past 4,000 RPM, and you'd know this was something special. The formula proved you didn't need a screaming chicken on your hood to run with the fastest machines on American roads. Sometimes danger comes in subtle packages. Number 9, 1992, Dodge Viper RT/10. The Dodge Viper wasn't trying to be safe or civilized. It was America's answer to European supercars, powered by an 8.0-liter V10, producing 400 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. The 1992 Viper RT/10 arrived as a roadster with no roof, no windows, no traction control, and no apologies. 0 to 60 happened in 4.6 seconds, quarter mile in high 12s. Top speed passed 160. But the terror came from no electronic safety nets, no anti-lock brakes, no traction control. The side exit exhaust could burn your leg. The interior was hostile. 2 seats, a wheel, 3 pedals, 6 gauges. The steering was unassisted, requiring genuine effort. Dodge built under 1,500 first-generation Vipers, most in Viper Red. The proportions were cartoonish. Endless hood, pushed-back cockpit, stubby tail. The exhaust was a symphony. The Viper was dangerous because it demanded respect. Snap the throttle mid-corner and the tail stepped out. But when you got it right, the experience was transcendent. This was raw, unfiltered driving, when everything else was getting softer. Number 8, 1998, Pontiac Trans Am WS6. If the formula was the subtle killer, the 1998 Pontiac Trans Am WS6 was the car that kicked down your door and announced its arrival with thunder and fury. This was the F-body at its absolute peak, right before General Motors made the inexplicable decision to kill the entire platform. The LS1 V8 had arrived, replacing the LT1, and everything about the Trans Am improved dramatically. The 5.7-liter LS1 produced 325 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, numbers that tell only part of the story. The real magic was in how that power arrived. In a smooth, relentless wave that started low and pulled all the way to redline without hesitation or flat spots. The LS1 was lighter, more compact, and more efficient than the LT1 it replaced, while also being significantly more powerful. 0 to 60 took just over 4.6 seconds, and the quarter mile passed in the high 12-second range at speeds exceeding 110 miles per hour. The WS6 package added Ram air induction, a functional system that pulled cooler outside air through the hood scoop and into the engine, adding a few extra horsepower at wide-open throttle. More importantly, the Ram air system created an intake howl that mixed with the exhaust to produce one of the greatest automotive soundtracks of the 90s. The performance exhaust was less restrictive than standard systems, letting the LS1 breathe freely and adding a deep, aggressive rumble that announced your presence blocks before you arrived. The body kit was pure excess. Massive hood scoop, aggressive ground effects, rear spoiler. The exhaust note was unforgettable, rising to a scream as the LS1 pulled toward redline. Inside, bolstered seats and a 6-speed manual with short throws made every shift satisfying. The most iconic color was Arctic white with blue graphics. The WS6 Trans Am was raw, loud, fast, and unapologetic. Number 7, 1997, Chevrolet Corvette. The C5 Corvette arrived for 1997 as a complete reimagining. Everything was new. The LS1 produced 345 horsepower. 0 to 60 took 4.7 seconds. Quarter mile in low 13s at over 105. Top speed passed 170, making the C5 one of the fastest production cars available. The chassis used hydroform steel, lighter, and stiffer. The suspension delivered balanced handling and comfortable ride quality. 12-inch brakes could haul the Corvette down repeatedly without fade. Inside, real leather and supportive seats created an environment worthy of the performance. The hatchback provided surprising cargo space. The exhaust was sophisticated, screaming at redline. The C5 could corner with ferocity, generating numbers that embarrassed European sports cars, costing twice as much. Torch red remained the iconic color. The C5 proved American engineers could build a world-class sports car. It matched European competitors for handling, exceeded them for speed, and cost thousands less. The C5 was dangerous because it made supercar performance accessible. Number 6, 1999, Ford Mustang SVT Cobra. 1999 should have been a victory for Ford. Instead, it became a scandal. Ford claimed 320 horsepower. Tests revealed closer to 280. Ford offered buybacks and compensation. Even with the deficit, the Cobra was quick. 0 to 60 took 5.6 seconds, quarter mile in low 14. The independent rear suspension gave handling that competed with anyone's warranties. Even with the power deficit, the 99 Cobra was seriously quick. 0 to 60 took around 5.6 seconds, and the quarter mile passed in the low 14-second range at just over 95 miles per hour. The independent rear suspension, lifted from the Lincoln Mark 8, finally gave the Mustang handling that could compete with solid axle competitors. The suspension was tuned for performance, with stiff springs and thick anti-roll bars that controlled body roll through aggressive cornering. The brakes were massive 13-inch ventilated rotors at all four corners, far larger than anything on a base GT. They provided strong, fade-free stopping power even during repeated hard stops from high speeds. The transmission was a Tremec T, 45 5-speed manual with short throws and mechanical precision that made every gear change satisfying. The optional automatic was a 4-speed unit that shifted reasonably well, but was rarely chosen by enthusiast buyers. The Cobra wore aggressive 17-inch wheels wrapped in performance rubber that helped it corner with confidence. The body kit was subtle but effective, with a lowered stance and functional aerodynamics that reduced lift at high speeds. The hood wore a subtle bulge to clear the taller dual overhead cam engine. The rear featured a modest spoiler and unique taillights that identified the Cobra from behind. Inside, leather seats and white-faced gauges created an upscale environment that separated the Cobra from base Mustangs. The exhaust note was refined compared to pushrod competitors, lacking the raw bark of a 5.0, but offering a sophisticated mechanical precision that some enthusiasts preferred. The dual overhead cam engine revved freely and smoothly, pulling strongly from low RPM all the way to redline. The intake made its own music, a mechanical howl that added to the experience. Ford offered the 99 Cobra in colors like laser red, Atlantic green, and chrome yellow with black accents. Despite the power controversy, or perhaps because of it, the 99 Cobra laid essential groundwork for the 2000 model. Ford supercharged the 2000 Cobra as an apology, creating one of the most legendary Mustangs ever built. The 99 Cobra's legacy is complicated, but it proved Ford was committed to building genuine performance cars even when they stumbled. The danger of the 99 Cobra came from its capability despite the power deficit, and from knowing what it would become just 1 year later. Number 5, 1996 Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport. Chevrolet built the Grand Sport to honor the legendary race cars of the 60s, those brutally fast machines that competed against Shelby Cobras and Ferrari GTOS on tracks around the world. The 1996 Corvette Grand Sport combined the base LT1 V8 with aggressive aerodynamics, wider bodywork, and exclusive colors that made it instantly recognizable and undeniably special. Only 1,000 Grand Sports were built, all of them wearing either Admiral Blue with a white stripe and red hash marks, or black with similar graphics. The LT1 produced 330 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque, the same output as the standard Corvette. But the Grand Sport wore significantly wider wheels, 11 inches in front and a massive 11.5 inches in the rear, wrapped in aggressive Goodyear Eagle GSC tires developed specifically for this application. The suspension was tuned for the wider track, with stiffer springs and dampers that controlled the extra grip. The result was a Corvette that could corner harder and faster than any C4 before it. 0 to 60 took just over 4.7 seconds, and the quarter mile passed in the high 12-second range at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. But straight-line speed wasn't the point of the Grand Sport. This was about cornering capability, about generating lateral acceleration numbers that embarrassed European sports cars. The wider tires and tuned suspension allowed the Grand Sport to pull over 1.0 G in steady-state cornering, numbers that were genuinely impressive for 1996. The Grand Sport's body was pure aggression wrapped in fiberglass. Flared fenders covered the wider wheels, creating a muscular stance that looked ready to attack. The front brake cooling ducts were functional, channeling air to the massive rotors and helping prevent fade during track use. The rear featured unique taillights and graphics that honored the original Grand Sport race cars. Every detail was purposeful, from the wider rear flares to the functional cooling vents. Inside, every Grand Sport received unique embroidery on the seats, featuring the crossed flags and Grand Sport script. A numbered plaque on the console told you exactly which of the 1,000 examples you were sitting in. The rest of the interior was standard C4 Corvette, which meant comfortable leather seats, clear analog gauges, and a surprisingly spacious cockpit for a sports car. The exhaust note was classic small-block Chevrolet, smooth and sophisticated at cruise, rising to a mechanical scream at wide-open throttle. The LT1 pulled strongly from low RPM and revved freely to its 6,300 RPM redline. The intake made a subtle howl that added to the mechanical symphony. The Grand Sport could corner with genuine ferocity, the wide tires and tuned suspension, allowing speeds through curves that would terrify drivers of standard Corvettes. Chevrolet offered the Grand Sport as both a coupe and convertible, though the coupe was significantly more popular with collectors and performance enthusiasts. The convertible was beautiful, but added weight and reduced rigidity, compromising the handling that made the Grand Sport special. Today, Grand Sports command serious premiums over standard C4 Corvettes, with clean examples selling for multiples of their original sticker prices. This was Chevrolet's love letter to racing heritage, wrapped in fiberglass and painted in colors that demanded attention. The Grand Sport was dangerous because it looked like art but drove like a weapon. Number 4. 1992 Dodge Stealth R/T Turbo. The Dodge Stealth R/T Turbo was the result of Chrysler's partnership with Mitsubishi, a technological showcase that proved Japanese engineering and American marketing could create something genuinely special. While the Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4 got most of the attention from import enthusiasts, the Dodge version offered identical performance, with distinctive American styling and Dodge's dealer network. The 1992 Stealth R/T Turbo was a rolling computer, packed with technology that seemed lifted from science fiction. The 3.0-liter V6 featured twin turbochargers, dual overhead cams, 24 valves, and intercoolers, producing 300 horsepower and 307 pound-feet of torque. That power flowed through either a 5-speed manual transmission with short throws and precise gates, or an optional 4-speed automatic that shifted surprisingly well. The all-wheel drive system could vary power delivery between front and rear axles, maximizing traction and allowing the Stealth to put its power down without drama. 0 to 60 took exactly 5 seconds flat, and the quarter-mile passed in the high 13-second range at speeds approaching 100 miles per hour. Top speed was electronically limited to 155 miles per hour, though the Stealth's aerodynamic body suggested it could go faster if unleashed. But straight-line speed was only part of the Stealth's capabilities. The technology list read like something from a concept car. The electronically controlled suspension offered sport and tour modes, adjusting damper rates at the touch of a button. Sport mode stiffened everything for aggressive driving, while tour mode softened the ride for highway cruising. The four-wheel steering system turned the rear wheels slightly at low speeds to improve maneuverability in parking lots, then turned them in the same direction as the fronts at high speeds to improve stability. Active aerodynamics included a rear spoiler that deployed automatically at speed, improving downforce and high-speed stability. The anti-lock braking system was sophisticated for the era, using 4-channel control to prevent wheel lockup during panic stops. The brake rotors were ventilated and generously sized, providing strong stopping power that resisted fade even during aggressive driving. The body was sleek and low, with pop-up headlights that were fashionable in the 90s, and a fastback roofline that looked exotic from every angle. Inside, the Stealth featured deeply bolstered leather seats that held you firmly through aggressive cornering. The gauge cluster was fully digital, displaying speed and RPM along with various system status information. Controls for the electronic suspension, all-wheel drive system, and other features were scattered across the center console. The steering wheel was leather-wrapped and thick, providing good feedback despite the power steering assist. The exhaust note was subdued compared to American V8s, almost refined, but the twin turbochargers created their own music. The rush of boost was addictive, a surge of acceleration that pushed you back in the seat and made merging onto highways effortless. The Stealth could corner with confidence, the all-wheel drive and four-wheel steering allowing speeds through curves that would overwhelm rear-drive competitors. Dodge offered the Stealth in colors like Stealth Gray Metallic and Viper Red, but the most iconic was bright white with red accents. The Stealth R/T Turbo was dangerous because it made serious performance accessible and easy. The technology compensated for driver mistakes, allowing people to drive faster than their skill levels suggested they should. This was American muscle reimagined through Japanese technology, and it worked beautifully. The Stealth proved you didn't need a big displacement V8 to deliver thrilling performance. Number 3, 1999, Pontiac Trans Am WS6 Ram Air. The 1999 Pontiac Trans Am represented the absolute pinnacle of F-body performance before General Motors made the tragic decision to kill the entire platform. This was the fourth-generation Trans Am at its finest, benefiting from years of refinement and the arrival of the magnificent LS1 V8. The WS6 package with Ram air induction was the ultimate expression, combining brutal straight-line speed with surprisingly capable handling. The 5.7-liter LS1 with Ram air induction produced 325 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers undersell the experience. The LS1 delivered power in a smooth, relentless wave that started at idle and pulled all the way to redline without hesitation. 0 to 60 took just 4.4 seconds, a time that embarrassed Corvettes and shocked owners of European sports cars. The quarter-mile passed in the high 12-second range at trap speeds approaching 115 miles per hour. The WS6 package included functional Ram air induction that pulled cooler outside air through the massive hood scoop and directly into the intake manifold. The cooler air was denser, allowing the engine to make slightly more power at wide-open throttle. More importantly, the Ram air system created an intake howl that mixed with the aggressive exhaust to produce one of the greatest automotive soundtracks ever created. The performance exhaust featured low restriction and high flow, letting the LS1 breathe freely and producing a deep rumble that rose to a mechanical scream under full acceleration. The suspension was track-ready out of the box, with stiff springs and thick anti-roll bars that controlled body roll through aggressive cornering. The shocks were tuned for performance, keeping the tires planted even over rough pavement. The steering was quick and responsive, making the Trans Am feel smaller and more agile than its 3,500-pound curb weight suggested. The brakes were massive, with large ventilated rotors that could handle repeated stops from triple-digit speeds without fade. The body kit was pure late 90s excess and absolutely perfect for the Trans Am. The hood scoop was enormous and completely functional. The ground effects hugged the pavement, creating a low, menacing stance. The rear spoiler looked fast, even when the car was parked. The Trans Am rode on 16-inch wheels, but they were wide and wrapped in sticky Goodyear rubber, developed specifically for the F-body platform. The wheels filled the flared fenders perfectly, creating proportions that looked aggressive and purposeful. Inside, deeply bolstered bucket seats held you firmly through hard cornering. The leather-wrapped steering wheel provided excellent feedback, communicating road texture and grip levels directly to your palms. The shifter for the 6-speed manual transmission had short, mechanical throws that made every gear change satisfying and precise. The gauge cluster was clear and easy to read, with a large tachometer that swept clockwise as the LS1 climbed toward redline. The optional monsoon sound system was surprisingly good, though most enthusiasts preferred to enjoy the mechanical symphony of the engine and exhaust. Pontiac offered the Trans Am in colors like bright metallic blue and firethorn red metallic, but the most iconic combination was Arctic white with blue graphics. This color scheme was a direct callback to the Trans Ams of the 70s, and it looked absolutely perfect on the aggressive fourth-generation body. The danger of the 99 Trans Am WS6 came from how accessible its performance was. The power arrived smoothly and predictably, making it easy to get in over your head before you realized how fast you were actually going. The rear tires could break loose suddenly if you were too aggressive with the throttle mid-corner, sending the tail sliding wide in a drift that required quick hands and calm nerves to catch and control. But when you got it right, when you learned to work with the Trans Am instead of fighting it, the experience was absolutely intoxicating. This was Pontiac's final statement in the muscle car world, the last great F-body, before General Motors pulled the plug on the entire program. The 99 Trans Am WS6 was raw, loud, fast, powerful, and absolutely unapologetic about any of it. It was muscle car purity, distilled into a package that could run with anything on American roads. The Trans Am proved that old-school V8 muscle wasn't dead, it was just getting started. Number 2, 2000 Ford Mustang SV T-Cobra R. Ford built the 2000 Cobra R as both an apology and a declaration of war. After the horsepower scandal of 1999, the special vehicle team knew they had to rebuild trust and prove they could deliver on their promises. They created a Cobra that exceeded every expectation, a barely civilized race car with license plates that remains the deadliest factory Mustang ever built in the 20th century. Only 300 Cobra Rs were produced, every single one painted in performance red, every single one equipped with a manual transmission, and none of them with rear seats or air conditioning. This wasn't a compromise or a comfortable grand touring machine. This was a weapon built specifically for track days and racing, sold to approved buyers who had to sign agreements, promising not to immediately flip the car for profit. The 5.4-liter dual overhead cam V8 was a destroked version of the modular engine, built for high RPM performance and producing 185 horsepower, along with 385 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers don't sound overwhelming by modern standards until you remember the Cobra R weighed hundreds of pounds less than a standard Mustang GT. Ford removed everything unnecessary: the rear seats, the air conditioning, sound deadening, even the radio. Every pound saved made the Cobra R faster and more responsive. 0 to 60 took just 4.4 seconds, and the quarter-mile passed in the low 13-second range at trap speeds approaching 110 miles per hour. Top speed stretched past 170 miles per hour, though the Cobra R was built for road courses rather than straight-line top speed runs. The real story was how the Cobra R could lap a circuit, combining brutal acceleration with genuine cornering capability that embarrassed cars costing twice as much. The suspension was pure racing hardware wearing street car camouflage. Bilstein monotube shocks provided precise damping control. Eibach springs were stiff enough to keep the body flat through high-speed corners. Massive anti-roll bars controlled body roll and kept the tires planted. The result was a Mustang that felt glued to the pavement, responding instantly to steering inputs and maintaining composure even at the limits of adhesion. The brakes were enormous Brembo units, with 13-inch ventilated rotors at all four corners and 4 piston calipers up front. They could haul the Cobra R down from triple-digit speeds repeatedly without fade, essential for track use where braking zones arrive quickly and demand total confidence. The wheels were 18-inch BBS units, lightweight and strong, wrapped in Goodyear Eagle F1, racing rubber developed specifically for the Cobra R. The aerodynamics were functional rather than decorative. The front splitter reduced lift and increased downforce on the front axle. Side skirts smoothed airflow along the body. The massive rear wing generated real downforce on the rear axle, improving high-speed stability and allowing higher cornering speeds. Every element was tested and proven, not just bolted on for appearance. The exhaust note was mechanical and angry, the dual overhead cam V8 screaming toward its 7,000 RPM redline, with a sound that was more race car than street machine. The Tremec T56 6-speed manual transmission had short, notchy throws that required commitment and precision. The clutch was heavy, demanding leg strength and making traffic jams exhausting. Every control felt purpose-built and race-focused, from the thick steering wheel to the deeply bolstered Recaro seats. Inside, the stripped interior made the Cobra R's intentions clear. The rear seat area was empty, covered by a carpeted panel. The front seats were racing buckets that held you firmly through cornering forces that would throw passengers around in standard Mustangs. The gauge cluster was clear and easy to read, with large analog dials for speed and RPM. The shift knob was a simple leather-wrapped sphere, short and positioned perfectly for quick gear changes. Ford sold each Cobra R for $54,995, a significant premium over standard Cobras, but reasonable given the hand-built nature and limited production. Today, clean examples command well over $100,000 at auction, and they're considered among the most collectible modern Mustangs ever produced. The 2000 Cobra R proved Ford could build a world-class performance car when they stopped worrying about comfort and focused entirely on speed and capability. This was the Mustang that proved muscle wasn't dead. It was just getting warmed up for a new century. Number 1. 1999 Chevrolet Corvette Fixed Roof Coupe. The most dangerous muscle car of the 1990s wasn't the loudest or the most powerful. It was the Corvette that combined genuine supercar performance with everyday usability and a price tag that seemed almost reasonable. The 1999 Chevrolet Corvette Fixed Roof Coupe, or FRC, was Chevrolet's parts bin special, combining the lightweight structure of the convertible with a fixed hardtop and the uprated drivetrain from the Z06 package. The LS1 V8 produced 345 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, the same output as other 99 Corvettes. But the fixed-roof coupe was significantly lighter than the standard coupe, shedding weight through the elimination of the Targa top mechanism and associated structural reinforcements. The result was a Corvette that weighed just over 3,200 pounds, making it the lightest C5 variant and giving it the best power-to-weight ratio of any Corvette that year. 0 to 60 took just 4.4 seconds, and the quarter-mile passed in the low 12-second range at speeds exceeding 115 miles per hour. Top speed stretched past 175 miles per hour, making the fixed-roof coupe one of the fastest production cars available at any price. But the straight-line speed was only part of the story. The fixed-roof coupe's lightweight structure and stiff chassis made it the best-handling Corvette of the C5 generation. The suspension used transverse leaf springs front and rear, a Corvette tradition with completely modern geometry that delivered balanced handling and surprising ride quality. The shocks were tuned specifically for the fixed-roof coupe's lighter weight, providing excellent control without beating you to death on rough pavement. The steering was quick and communicative, with excellent feedback about what the front tires were doing. The result was a Corvette that felt alive and responsive, eager to change direction and stable at very high speeds. The brakes were massive 12-inch ventilated rotors at all four corners, with improved pads that provided strong, fade-free stopping power. The anti-lock system used sophisticated 4-channel control to prevent wheel lockup during panic stops. The traction control system could be completely disabled for track use, allowing experienced drivers to explore the limits without electronic intervention. The fixed-roof coupe wore unique body-colored headlight surrounds and came standard with the thin-spoke lightweight wheels from the Z06 package. The result was a Corvette that looked purposeful and aggressive without any unnecessary decoration. The aerodynamics were excellent, with a low drag coefficient that helped the LS1 push the Corvette through air efficiently, even at sustained high speeds. Inside, the fixed-roof coupe received the same high-quality interior as other C5 Corvettes. Real leather covered the seats and door panels. The seats themselves were supportive and comfortable, even on long drives. The gauge cluster was clear and easy to read, with large analog dials for speed and RPM, surrounded by smaller gauges for oil pressure, coolant temperature, and fuel level. The center console housed controls for the climate control system and optional heads-up display that projected speed and RPM information onto the windshield. The exhaust note was sophisticated and mechanical, a deep rumble at idle that rose to a screaming crescendo as the LS1 climbed toward its 6,000 RPM redline. The intake made its own music, a mechanical howl that added to the symphony. The 6-speed manual transmission had short throws and precise gates, making every gear change a tactile pleasure. The clutch was reasonably light, making the fixed-roof coupe surprisingly easy to drive in traffic despite its performance capabilities. The fixed-roof coupe could corner with genuine ferocity. The lightweight structure and stiff chassis allowed the suspension to work more effectively, keeping the tires planted through fast sweepers and tight hairpins. The steering feedback was excellent, communicating exactly what the front tires were doing and allowing precise placement on track. The balanced weight distribution meant the fixed-roof coupe rotated naturally through corners, neither pushing wide nor snapping into oversteer. Chevrolet offered the fixed-roof coupe in a full range of colors, from Arctic white to magnetic red to navy blue metallic. The most popular color was black, which emphasized the fixed-roof coupe's aggressive proportions and made it look like a stealth weapon. Production numbers were limited, making the fixed-roof coupe relatively rare compared to standard coupes and convertibles. The danger of the fixed-roof coupe came from how capable it was, how easily it could reach speeds that would terrify you in lesser cars. The performance arrived smoothly and predictably, making it easy to get in over your head before you realized how fast you were actually traveling. But the fixed-roof coupe also provided the tools to handle that speed. Strong brakes, responsive steering, and a balanced chassis that stayed composed even at the limits. The 1999 Corvette fixed-roof coupe was the most dangerous muscle car of the 90s because it made supercar performance accessible and easy. It could run with Ferraris and Porsches on track, then cruise home comfortably on the highway. It could embarrass exotic cars costing 3 times as much, then park at the grocery store without drama. This was Chevrolet proving that American engineering could deliver world-class performance in a package that made sense financially and practically. The fixed-roof coupe was the perfect expression of 1990s muscle, fast, capable, and absolutely deadly in the right hands. The 1990s proved that muscle never really died. It just evolved and adapted to a changing world. These 12 machines weren't just transportation. They were weapons wrapped in fiberglass and steel, powered by engines that roared defiance at everyone who said American performance was finished. From turbocharged trucks to stripped-out race cars, wearing license plates, these machines proved horsepower and heritage were alive and well. Some could embarrass exotics in straight lines. Others could carve road courses with precision. All of them could thrill you one moment and terrify you the next. Which of these dangerous legends would you take for one last drive down an empty back road? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you love stories from the era when American muscle came roaring back to life, hit that subscribe button for more. The best stories are always just beginning.